web-based game, but it can also be sorry, let me rephrase that. We are going to make an iOS and an Android version first to start with, but the possibility of the game is endless, and we can also very easily make a website out of it. It's based on an actual board game I made some months ago, and I've played the game a lot of times with my friends and family and a lot of people, and it was a great success. So I began to think, like, what would a digital version of this game look like? And a lot of brainstorming later, we came up with an idea about a small board game on your phone that would take short turns to complete, so the players would be like playing for 5 minutes and then laying away their phone again, and later in the day they would be continuing their game against their friends or random opponents. I'm going to give you an example of the basic gameplay that Tabula has. You have an empty grid. This is like the empty space where your city comes in. And player 1 starts building, so he builds a building in the middle of the grid. Player 2 then builds his building next to the second one, first one, sorry. And at the end of turn, they both receive cash for the buildings they built. Buildings next to cash also generate resources. This is actually the most important part of Tabula, because resources can be put into other buildings to produce stronger resources. And the moment you produce a stronger resource, you get extra cash flow, and the cool thing is that because players are on the same grid, they can actually steal resources from each other's buildings for tactical advantage. For a target audience, we made a differentiation between 4 types of people. We called them the explorer, the killer, the achiever, and the socializer. The explorer is a type of player who likes to play games, but he likes to explore the mechanics and do things he's never done before in games. So he tries to make the max out of the mechanics, but he doesn't really care about the goals of the game itself. The killer is a type of person who plays games for the competitive edge. You know, he goes online, he meets people just to beat them or be the best. The achiever is, we all know an achiever, it's like the nerd who finished the whole game from A to Z and then does it again. The socializer is the last part of our target audience, and it's maybe the most important one, because the socializer is someone that plays because someone else tells him to, like, hey, you want to play a game? And the person does it because it's a social activity, and they engage in it, not because they like gaming, but because they like the social activity. And now for each target audience part, we found our target in the game. Like, what do we want? What do we want in the game for this target audience? For the explorer, that's dynamic gameplay, like gameplay that changes all the time, so they can get outcomes that weren't anticipated. Killers, they like competitive gameplay. They like winning, so yeah, it's important that there's not always sure that you're going to win, so you have to like put your effort in it. Achievers, global high scores. Every time you finish a game, the total amount of money you made in the game is counted up to your total score, and your score is like a global high score that says, okay, this is the amount of money you're worth, and if you're on top, you made a lot of money. If you're on the bottom, you maybe play 2 games or something. And the socializer, we were like, okay, what does a socializer want? They don't want to play a game, they want to socialize. So we were like, what do we do to make the game playable to them? And that we found out that it is quick interaction. People were busy. We asked people who were busy if they played the game and how much time they would have. So quick interaction was very important. We want to go for 500 million downloads. That may sound like a lot, but let me explain. It's very niche, I know. 20% of those 5 million downloads will actually play the game longer than a month. These are average statistics taken from free-to-play games on the web at the moment. 10 million of those, that percentage of players spend something on the game, which makes for a total for 40 million revenue if every player spends an average of 4 euros on the game or its components. What we will sell? We will be selling viable content, themes that actually have a function.
Give it up for Tabula!